It's been 10 years at the time of writing this since I made a video about a racing game, and by the looks of it, Nailed is the anomaly for the channel. Let's fix that. Funny enough, one of the future videos in the pipeline is also a racing game similar to Nailed. It's all just a coincidence. As for this game, it's a childhood favorite of mine, DethKarz. DethKarz is a sci-fi vehicular combat game released on 10th of November 1998 for Windows only. It's developed by an Australian studio called Beam Software. It was founded in 1980 and they made splash right from the get-go. Their first game, The Hobbit, a text-adventure game, sold more than 500,000 copies. The Way of the Exploding Fist won Game of the Year in 1985 at the Golden Joystick Awards. They even opened a branch in the UK which was responsible for KKND or Kill, Crush and Destroy, released on 5th of March 1997, a real-time strategy game often compared to Command & Conquer. The game sold extremely well, got mostly positive reviews and earned a revision in October of the same year, adding more content and of course a sequel in 1998. From 1999 onward, they had their name changed a couple of times because they were bought and ended up closing doors in 2010. But at the beginning of the new millennium, after the first rebranding, they started to make a name for themselves as a racing dev. In the first couple of years, they made Le Mans 24 Hours, Grand Prix Challenge and the more kid-friendly kart racer Looney Tunes Space Race. When you look at back their releases, you can see their affinity for racing games, and it all begins with DethKarz. The game has just 3 game modes: Championship, Arcade and Time Trial. I think they are self-explanatory to everyone who's ever played a racing game. The meat of the game is of course the Championship, but before diving in, I would suggest playing in Arcade or Time Trial. The reason is to test all available vehicles to see which one you like the most and get a grip on the handling. They all feel different to drive. After you're satisfied, it's time to race in the Championship. You can choose between 4 different cars, each with different stats: weapon, handling, acceleration, armor, speed and difficulty. I have no idea what difficulty means. You can choose it separately from a menu. I'm guessing it's the overall handling of the car on the track. Weapon is a bit more interesting. You have a laser type weapon you can shoot and it's rechargeable. There are 2 types, but it doesn't matter which one you use. The only difference is that the pulse laser comes out from 2 points, and I found it to be useful when the car frames are rubbing into each other. It can damage the opponent. The plasma cannon comes from the middle of the car and it's a bit easier to hit someone. The other difference is the color and the shape. I chose the new Empire team, the same one I used to play back in the day, and the pulse laser. Once you choose, you can't go back unless you start a new game. That's why I suggest playing a bit with all the cars before you commit to a team. And we're off to the races. There are no qualification laps, you always start last and you have to fight your way to victory. And that's what you do, shooting and pushing pedal to the metal. There are no upgrades, no customization, besides changing the color, it's pure racing and your skills. Besides your weapon you constantly have, there are also power-ups on the tracks. There are 9 in total plus 1 that gives you a random one. They are all color-coded, so it's easy to aim at a specific one. Homing, Rocket, Shield, Nitro, Quick Fix and Torpedo are the more familiar types, but there are a few slightly more interesting, like the Antimatter Shield. The manual describes it as turning your car into a weapon. It basically zaps any car that gets close to you. If you manage to electrocute another driver long enough, it does massive amount of damage, and then all you need is a few shots from your weapon and he's gone forever. Another interesting is the stealth car. It makes your car transparent and no projectiles pass through you. Probably my favorite one is the cluster bombs. You spill behind the car many small green bombs. Unless you run through multiple of them, they don't do much damage, but what most of the time happens is you lose control and fall outside the track. It's great when you do it to the others, but not when it happens to you. Every second lost can cost you. Your driving skills are the most important here, but the power-ups make or break the race. I don't know how many times Nitro or Rocket made me come on top, ranking in first place at the very last moment of the race. It's honestly exhilarating and is probably my favorite thing that happens in the game. The power-ups respawn constantly, so you won't be left without any. Sometimes I even let someone pass me just to destroy him. I'm that evil. Here is the thing. Once you are blown up, it's over, you don't respawn. This adds a lot of tension. I imagine it will be even more if you are using less durable car. When you are low on health, you start to smoke and an alarm starts beeping, so you know the end is close. What will you do? Will you try to snatch a quick fix if possible? Or drive on the part of the track that will restore it fully, but it will make you lose precious seconds? Or risk it all and try to survive until the race is over? Now this is the best part of the game. Shooting, jumping, tension, chaos. Sometimes you need to make split-second decisions that may or may not work. I just love this. If you get destroyed or the race doesn't go well, you either have to restart the whole set of tracks or use one of your limited retries. You have just 9 for the whole championship. If you think they are plenty, trust me, they are not. The game will kick your ass. I'll talk about the difficulty in a minute, but before that, we need to discuss the tracks. There are 12 tracks in total in 4 different environments: Metro City, the Pole, Grand Keys and the Red Planet. The main difference is the length and the laps. Short have 5, medium 4 and long 3. However, by the environment, you know what track to expect. Metro City always offers high-speed chases, a chance to reach your max speed and a massive jump. It has very few places that you have to slow down, but they offer catching up to the other racers. The Pole is a winter-themed track with slightly slippery surfaces and a few treacherous turns. Grand Keys are my least favorite. It's the one where you need to slow down at specific spots or you fly away from the track. You need to be extra careful here. It also has a tunnel where it's very easy to crash and lose the race. The Red Planet is my second favorite after Metro City. Long straight roads with some sharp turns and few bumpy sections that require driving with max concentration or you will fly out. The controls are solid and if you fall behind, it's always because of you, most of the time. There are no safety rails on the side, so it's very easy to make a mistake. Here is the thing. DethKarz demands from you to be constantly on top of your game and make very few mistakes, preferably none, which is easier said than done. You need to be very aggressive with few slowdowns. If you fall behind, it's impossible to catch up to the leader or at least very hard. That's because the AI don't shoot itself. They attack only you and they don't make mistakes. I don't like that to say the least. The game gives you plenty of opportunity to screw up, but none to make up for those mistakes. If you crash a bit too much or you're too slow on the turns, you better restart the whole tournament. You need to be in the top 3, even better first or second place to continue. The higher you finish, the more points you get. But at least the game shows you how much you need to progress, and if you see you won't make it, you better start all over again. This might be because of my heart, it's not the fastest, but I'd argue if that's the case, the most armored car is pointless to be used because it's the slowest. I can understand if the game is getting progressively harder, but here it's almost from the beginning. To be fair, one championship is only 4 tracks and initially it's not a big deal to start the tournament again, but with time this will start to weigh on you. That's my biggest problem with the game, repetition and lack of variety. You play the same tracks over and over again, not only because you will fail a race, but all the championships are the same tracks just in different order. There aren't even mirror tracks. Speaking of the slowest car, I don't think I've ever seen one in the top 5, even in top 10, any of them. They're usually in the back of the queue. Maybe if all the cars start to shoot, the situation will be different, or at least let them make mistakes, and this will make the game a bit more fair. The rubber banding is okay. Most of the time, if you are leading the pack, there is always someone breathing down your neck, putting pressure on you to make mistakes. They won't overtake you unless you slow down or fall, even if their car is faster. In other cases like this one, I'm not sure how the AI is keeping up with me, because if it didn't fly over using nitro, the normal road is way slower and the power-ups don't respond that fast. If the AI cheats, so will I. I found some unintentional shortcuts. If you follow a track, the game has certain spawn points and I figure out how to abuse them. At certain spots, you can jump ahead to another part of the track and the goal is not to land on it but fall. That way the game will spawn you way ahead. The Red Planet tracks are the prime example. This shortcut managed to save so many races. It doesn't work on all, some just don't have this kind of opportunity. One last thing before I wrapped up the video. In my 9 hours or so playing, the game crashed numerous times, which caused me to repeat many tournaments. I don't know what caused it. One of the crashes even blocked my progress. Once you beat the whole championship, you unlock a new class car, essentially a better version of your current one and looking slightly different. You use it for the next championship. I just unlocked the second car and the game crashed. Once I got back, the next championship was unlocked but the car was unavailable. I thought the game soft locked. Just before giving up, I decided to play the last tournament with the longest tracks. This fixed the issue. I think the game is okay. It's fun, it's chaotic, good sense of speed, the tracks are decent, music slaps, but the difficulty is what's stopping me from beating it. Yes, I didn't finish it, and the reason is that the very last championship requires from you to beat every single track in one sitting. I played for a bit just to test the updated version of my car and decided it's not worth my effort. The new cars are cool and all, but fast doesn't mean better. It means you need to be even more careful on the tracks. I like a challenge, but on normal difficulty the AI is savage and and it's what caused the repetition to kick in even faster. It's hard to recommend because of all the crashes. Here's what I'll say. If you like what you see, wait for a sale and play until you see all the tracks. Anything after that will be the same but with slightly different car and different order of the tracks. And maybe play it on a lower difficulty. It's safe to say I was disappointed by the game, but I won't deny there is some fun to be had here.